Welcome, dear friends, to a thrilling journey into the vibrant and spectacular world of entertainment in ancient Rome, a society where leisure, spectacle, and public display were woven into the fabric of daily life. The Romans knew how to impress, entertain, and captivate. From grand gladiatorial games in massive amphitheaters like the Colosseum to thrilling chariot races in the Circus Maximus, Roman entertainment was designed to awe the crowds and reflect the power of the empire. But entertainment wasn't only for the elite or reserved for great arenas. Across the empire, people gathered in bathhouses, enjoyed theatrical performances, street musicians, board games, storytelling, and feasting. Public festivals, religious ceremonies, and even mock naval battles brought communities together in celebration. In this program, we'll uncover what entertained the ancient Romans, what it reveals about their values, and how these spectacles helped maintain social order and political control. We'll visit ancient sites, explore stunning artifacts, and bring to life the sights and sounds of Roman amusements. Join us as we step into the lively, dramatic, and sometimes brutal world of Roman entertainment. This is Time Stream, and our journey into the heart of Roman leisure begins now.
Every culture has a dance, and ancient Romans are no exceptions. So ancient Romans dance was inspired by Greece, mostly by Greek slaves, and Roman themselves, they didn't participate in dance. They thought dance was below them, so they hired Greek and Spanish dancers for their banquets, parties, birthdays, weddings, also for their funerals. Eventually, these Greek dancers opened dance schools, and Roman sent their kids to these dance schools, and that's how the dance came to Romans also. There are dances that are native to Romans, such as belly crepa. Belly crepa is a dance that was introduced by Romulus, which is the founder of Rome. In this dance, the warrior would wear the full armor, and they will go up and down Rome's city just before a war. And in this way, they would demonstrate their strength, synchronization, and power. I guess you can compare that with today's military march. Priests also had a dance called Pyrrhic or war dance. In this dance, priests also would wear a full armor. They would hold a shield on their left arm and a staff on their right arm. Priests would also perform fertility dance. Other popular dances were Bacchanal, which was in honor of the god Bacchus, the wine god. I think some part of this dance is still danced in South and Central America. Roman believed that you should dance with your whole body and soul, influenced by religion. And also they would tell stories mostly about the goddess and gods of the time. And these stories were told by dancing without words, so they call this pantomime or miming. Pantomime could also include musicians and singers. Pantomime has two main parts. One part is the dancing, the movement, which dancers could teach each other, and one part is the miming, Miming was reserved for very good dancers. Dance was usually made in lines, and the best dancer was the leader of the line.
Возникнув в Древней Греции, театр Древнего Рима принес в Британию искусство с его грандиозными аренами и театральными постановками. Можно было стать свидетелем различных форм искусства, таких как акробатика, уличные представления, танцы, артикулированные трагедии и другие. С тех пор, как начала развиваться Римская империя, мюзиклы и театральные представления устраивались профессионалами на всех публичных и религиозных фестивалях.
Roman amphitheatre were a type of Roman. They were basically open venue, mostly circular or oval. They were different from the traditional circus or hippodrome because they were used for mostly the most famous gladiator combats, animal slaying, and executions. We don't know yet when the first amphitheatre were built during the Roman, but there were some records showing that the first important amphitheatre were built during the 2nd century before Christ, and then start to grow in terms of popularity since the imperial time, when every city, important city in Imperial Roman, were basically part of the suburb of the city, and then entertaining basically all the people living in that area. Now, amphitheatre is basically the meaning of amphitheatre were basically the all-around venue, basically, and the venue were used for most of the attractions that there were at that time. The main thing about the amphitheatre that were quite big, they could reach a capacity around 40,000 to 60,000 people, and the biggest one, like the Colosseum in Rome, could reach up to 100,000 people in the same event. But with the centuries, the amphitheaters start to decline in popularity. Most of the causes were because gladiators start to disappear from the public life. They were not anymore making entertainment combats due to various reasons, mostly economical, because the gladiators were quite expensive, and also due to changes in religion. For example, when the Christianity were starting to take over, they were against this type of combats because they were saying that were abominable and it was a waste of money. Although the animal slaves continue to make heavens and be popular, but around the 6th century after Christ, they start to decline in the same way because of the higher cost for these animal combats, basically. So what happened to the amphitheaters? They start to be abandoned or vandalized, or some of them they were destroyed, and the same material used to build something else, some other buildings that were necessary. Some of them they're still surviving nowadays, most of the famous are like the one in Rome, most of the also France and UK, some of them you can still see them, and they were nowadays they are protected as a monument, historic monument, and most of them are still open to as a visitor attractions, and few of them, like a couple of them that are still used, like the Verona Arena and the arena in Nimes in France, they are still used for nowadays musical concert or classical theater plays, and and this is the one that you can visit all around the year and is open to the public. And how we say in Italian, fino a che il Colosseo esisterà, Roma esisterà.
Amphitheatres were iconic structures of Roman architecture and public life, designed for entertainment and social gatherings. In Roman Britain, amphitheatres served as important venues for spectacles such as gladiatorial games, animal hunts, military displays, and public executions. These events reinforced Roman cultural identity and demonstrated the power of the empire to local populations. Although not as grand as the Colosseum in Rome, amphitheatres in Britain were built throughout the province in key towns, often near military forts or civic centres. Notable examples include those at Caerleon, Isca, Chester, Dover, and Verulamium, modern St Albans. These structures varied in size but typically seated several thousand spectators and were elliptical or oval in shape. Amphitheatres were constructed from stone or timber and featured tiered seating around a central arena. Access was organized through a network of entrances and passageways, allowing efficient movement of large crowds. Some amphitheatres had subterranean chambers or holding areas for animals and performers. The events held in these arenas were more than mere entertainment. They were tools of imperial propaganda and social control. By hosting games and spectacles, Roman authorities aimed to display the benefits of Roman civilization and keep both civilians and soldiers engaged and loyal. As Christianity spread and Roman control weakened in the 4th and 5th centuries, public spectacles declined and many amphitheatres fell into disuse. Some were dismantled for building materials, while others were gradually buried and forgotten. Today, archaeological remains of Roman amphitheatres in Britain provide important evidence of urban planning, social organisation, and the spread of Roman culture. Their remains are preserved as historical sites and continue to offer valuable insights into life in Roman Britain.
the Romans started to leave around in the 400s AD. It's really because their empire was under attack from all the tribes all across Europe, and they just didn't have the soldiers to sort of support the empire, and they left. I'm not sure, it was 400 and something. This Roman soldiers left, and that's when we started having invasions from the Saxons, from where we have Germany today, Saxony, and they were easily more powerful than the Celtic tribes. And then after that, of course, the Normans, in the 11th century. So we've been subject to one invasion after another, really. So we're a sort of broad mix, in our DNA of all these different invading forces in Britain today.
Roman mothers were called materfamilias. The wife of paterfamilias often shared power with her husband. She ran the household, controlled the money, and raised the children. She may not have had many legal rights, but she enjoyed enormous respect and prestige in the home and in society. Surprisingly, very few children actually went to school in ancient Roman times. For most, the education of the children was in the hands of the family. A father taught his sons the practical necessities of life: reading, writing, arithmetic, and the laws. Included in his son's lesson was how to show respect for Roman customs, for tradition, for the gods, and for authority. Roman revered Roman laws and traditions, and they honoured those in authority, whether the authority was embodied by the paterfamilias or the magistrates. The wax was very soft, and children scratched into it with a bronze stylus. If any mistakes were made, the flat end of the stylus could smooth the wax out. Unlike a wife in ancient Athens, a Roman wife could leave her home to visit with friends and to attend the games, the theatre, and the courts with her husband.
As we conclude our journey into the world of entertainment in ancient Rome, we've seen how the Romans combined spectacle, ritual, and drama to amuse, unite, and even control their society. From gladiator fights to theatre, chariot races to street games, entertainment was more than pleasure, it was power, politics, and identity. These amusements reflected the grandeur and complexity of Roman life. Though the empire has fallen, its love for performance lives on in our sports, theatres, and festivals today. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that history has to offer. This is Time Stream, see you next time.